guess who just got back from their 3 ghost shows? So, hi everyone. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Callista King, and I'm an artist, an activist, a poet, and an autistic, queer, polyamorous nerd who lives in the Kansas City area. And before we get any further, because what we're going to be focusing on today are how my experience was attending my first ghost ritual for the very first time. Now, I attended 3 rituals / concerts, which was, the first one was St. Louis, second one was Omaha, third one was Kansas City. And I'm going to tell you how these videos are going to kind of work out, okay? So, number 1, I'm not an editor and I'm not a YouTuber. Do I know how to edit this thing? Absolutely not. Do I know how to insert pictures? Absolutely not. Could we even take photos in these ghost shows because they were phone-free experiences? We couldn't. So you're not going to see photos inserted in here. Instead, I want you to think of this more as like a podcast where we're sitting down together, we're having a good time, and I'm just telling you a story. It's like, you know, the story times that were really popular in the late 2000s, early 2010s. We're going to go a little bit YouTube old school, all right? So if you're expecting flashy editing in any of these videos, I don't have that skill set and I'm sorry, but I do want to share my experience as a newer fan going to a ghost concert / ghost ritual. Now, you may have just stumbled upon this video and you're like, what is Ghost? So Ghost is an amazing occult rock band that an extremely talented Swedish musician, Tobias Forge, created. I'm not going to get into it any further than that because the lore with this band is very dense, and the music is a wide spectrum. I highly encourage you to look up some of their rockin' tunes if you haven't heard of them yet. I suggest starting, because this was my first video I found, so I might be a little bit biased, but I suggest starting with the Jimmy Kimmel performance of Call Me Little Sunshine. And then maybe go watch the music video for Rats, and then jump into Dance Macabre, Mariana Cross, Cerise, Square Hammer. Any of those are great to like jump in with, all right? So now that we're done with the introductory stuff, let's go ahead and talk about how these videos are gonna be laid out. So I'm gonna talk about the first ritual I went to, St. Louis, in this video. I'm gonna talk about Omaha in the second video, and then I'm gonna talk about Kansas City in the third video. And I'm going to tell you again about my entire experience and how it was. So I had the privilege and honor of going with Dare, who is one of my best friends, and if you don't know them, they are Dare to Cosplay on TikTok and on Bluesky, and I highly suggest following them. They're an amazing cosplayer. They're honestly an amazing ghost archivist as well, and they know all the things about Ghost, and I just think they're so talented, and I love the media they create. I love their costuming work, and as someone who knows them personally, they are a wonderful, fantastic, kind, amazing person. And my experiences at these rituals would not have been as truly wonderful and great and phenomenal if they weren't guiding me through all this and weren't by my side as a friend. And so, Dare, I love you, and thank you for the amazing week we had. So, here's how it went down. It was a little bit crazy. Dare and I, we went to 3 rituals in 6 days. Pretty much, here's what happened. I left to go to St. Louis on a Tuesday, went to the ritual on Wednesday, came back to KC on a Thursday. I was only home for a full 24 hours before leaving for Omaha on a Saturday, and then seeing the ritual on a Sunday. And then we drove from Omaha back to Kansas City on Monday before going to the show on Tuesday. So it was a week of absolute craziness, but it was so much fun. and I enjoyed it so much. And again, what we're going to focus on now is the St. Louis show. So in St. Louis, again, we left on Tuesday, and we ended up staying at the Jurian in Union State, like that's near Union Station in St. Louis. And that, even traveling there with Dare was so much fun. We were listening to Ghost, talking about fan fiction, continuing to just bond as friends. And like, it was, honest to goodness, it was such a blast. After that, again, we checked into our hotel, and then we decided to do some exploring. So we first got an early dinner at Union Station, and Union Station itself was so cool. We have a really neat Union Station here in Kansas City, but I loved how outdoorsy it was at the St. Louis Union Station. I loved like how it actually was designed to kind of look like a festival / carnival. And it was just really lovely. They had like a huge koi pond, and they had a bunch of like water features. And we had dinner at this really great old-fashioned soda shop. And I devoured one of the best burgers I ever had in my life. We got fries too on the side, and then for dessert we shared this giant milkshake, which they called an everything in the sink shake. And I think it's called the kitchen sink shake. That's what it was. And it had like a brownie on it, and like Reese's Pieces, and like it had like a huge buttercup, and it was just so good. Like, it was so tasty. Dare and I, again, we shared it, and we couldn't finish it all. And then afterwards, we went to a Michael's that was like 2 stories tall, which that was crazy. And then we went to Five Below just to kind of like kill some time. And then we headed back to our hotel, and actually got to bed at a decent time. We went to bed at 9 p.m. because we had to wake up early to go get our wristbands. Now, Dare and I, for this show, got the Ascended tier, which allowed you to get numbered entry, and you were the 3rd VIP group allowed in the pit, and you got some really cool merch. So this is the merch I got as VIP. I got this really cool Yeti water bottle, and I got this super awesome possum lanyard, which I think is so cool. It's a it says Ghost Skeletor VIP with a QR code, and I absolutely love this lanyard. I think it's really cool. I love the little purple designs here. It just looks neat. And our VIP stuff also came with little stickers, which I'll pull out of my little. Actually, I think it's still in my. They are. They're still in my cup. But like. Actually, we'll skip the stickers for now. I'll show you the stickers later because I have like 3 sets of them. But I don't want to like be taking up too much time. But yeah, so we got 3 super cool, like good quality stickers, the Yeti water bottle, and the VIP lanyard, which personally I'm happy with. I know some people have been complaining about it being a water bottle, but personally for me, I like having practical items for VIP, and this Yeti water bottle I will actually use. This is actually like lasered in. It's a really good quality water bottle. I'm not mad at it. So anyway, moving on. So we got the Ascended tier, which gives you VIP numbered entry and like early access like into the venue. So we like Dare was amazing. I want to say this first. Dare was amazing. Like, Dare was like, hey, I want you to get the #1 Ascended band, which I will go ahead and show you that. Dare was like, I want you to get the #1 Ascended band because this is your first ritual, and I want you to have the #1 band. And I really wanted to get Barrier, and we knew that the only way to get Barrier, being the 3rd VIP option, was if we got there super early and got a lower numbered bracelet. So, like the crazies we were, We went there at 3 a.m. I know, which is insane. We got in line at like 3 a.m. Well, that's not fully true. We woke up at 3 a.m. We got in line at 4. We got to the venue at 4 a.m. and started the line. And the venue we were at was the Enterprise Center. And let me tell you something. It's a whole experience. Like, metal line culture is a thing, okay? Like, concert line culture is a thing. But we got there early. We brought 2 lawn chairs. We brought a cooler full of snacks, like a little lunch bag cooler. We brought extra water. We filled our cooler with ice, and we put, like, washcloths in it because it ended up being 98 degrees that day. And even early in the morning, it was a humidity, awful mess. Like, didn't feel good. But we were in pretty good spirits. I was excited, Darren was excited. We were both running on energy drinks and just good vibes. So again, we get to the venue at 4, and we end up meeting with the security guard, who was super nice. And by the way, the venue was the Enterprise Center. And I'm going to specifically shout them out because they were amazing in so many ways. And I'll tell you why in a bit. But we end up getting to the Enterprise Center, and we meet up with Dylan, who's a security guard who was just patrolling the area. And he was like, hey, just so you know, Live Nation doesn't want anyone on the property here until 8 a.m. But if you want to start a line across the street where that sidewalk is, that's totally fine by me. And, like, I'll keep an eye on you guys. There are cameras everywhere, and I'm going to make sure you guys are safe. Like, honestly, shout out to Dylan. He was so nice and, like, so cordial. And, like, he was just so sweet. And I ended up giving him, because I brought some ghost candy bracelets. This is candy, by the way, if you don't know. This is candy. They're beaded bracelets that people make. But I ended up giving him one of my ghost candy bracelets I made just because he was so kind and so nice. So we hop over to the other side of the sidewalk across the way off the property. And we just wait over there. And Dare was working on a couple signs because this was the one venue that allowed giant posters. And we were, again, just having a really good time, like, talking amongst ourselves. It was early, but again, the vibes were good. Later on, about 30-ish minutes later, we met with 2 other Ghost fans who came to line up with us, named Mac and Will, and they were absolutely lovely human beings. And then another Ghost fan named Goop joined us. And then a friend of Dare's joined us named Sammy. Now, keep Sammy in mind. Sammy's going to be a reoccurring character. But everyone was just so lovely. We were talking. We were having a great time. And again, the vibes were really good so far. We had a lot of shadow cover because it was still early in the morning and there were, like, skyscrapers around us. So it wasn't overly hot yet. And again, the vibes were good. We were just having a good time. And people were just making posters, talking. Everyone was trading candy. It was really, really great. And finally, 8 o'clock rolls around, and we roll over to back onto property where the Enterprise Center was. Now, we had numbered our hands, to make sure that, like, people, like, wouldn't cut once we got moved. And it was a really great system. Like, we just put, we just numbered people on their hands by the order they arrived. And it was great. Like, it let people keep their space in line. People were super chill about it. And it's something I suggest people do, just because, like, sometimes people might need to go to the bathroom and then come back, or they may need to go get water. And I think it's okay for someone to pop out of line for a little while and then come back to their spot, especially if they get there early. So we had numbered our hands, and, like, it was a good system, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And again, we had some shadow cover so far, with it being in the morning, so we were still good. But then the shadow cover went away as the sun kept rising, and y'all, it got hot. It got so hot. And around, like, 8:30, we heard from the general admission line that the venue had already given out their bracelets. So they got to pick up their bracelets and go. And now it's important to make this note that the venue handled the general admission. Ghost had a company that specifically handled VIP. So the venue wasn't handling VIP. So we're not going to crap on the venue or anything like that. That wasn't their bag. They were handling general admission. And the venue made the right choice to give general admission their VIP. They're like, not VIP, but the venue made the right choice to give general admission their wristbands early because it was hot out. Like, and general admission didn't have shadow cover. At least for a little while, we had shadow cover. So finally, it's getting so hot. We have one of our Ghost fans that was online was even had like medical issues and was really, really struggling. And let me tell you, we were like passing out waters to people. We were checking on people, Dare and I, and like we were like, sharing our cold washcloths with people because we didn't want anyone to overheat. And it got to the point where it got to the point where people were even joking that like we were the line moms. But we just wanted to make sure that people were eating and doing okay. And then finally, Goopert saved the day. Goopert got their friend to bring, and I kid you not, it was a Cheesecake Factory takeout bag full of ice. And Goopert got their friend to bring it to us, and let me tell you, that saved the day. We were putting ice on ourselves, like people were coming in from line, and that's what kept us cool. Like, shout out to Goopert who came in with the assist. Now, during this time, we were watching the tour buses and the trucks come in and out, which was also a really good experience. Now, we were leaving them alone. We weren't going up to staff or the roadies or anything like that because, you gotta let people do their job. But it was still a lot of fun. And, like, every single time I saw, like, one of the black tour trucks, I would yell, truck! And everyone else would yell, truck! And we would cheer for the trucks as they came in. It was just kind of silly good time. And, like, even the bigger, like, semi-trucks, we did this to try to get them to honk. And they actually honked at us and waved, and they were so nice. Now, enter a Ghost staff member. I believe he's going to be a reoccurring character too, by the way. I'm not going to say his name yet. We're going to reveal his name later, because we saw him again later. But the staff member was waiting at one point next to a truck, and I think he was dealing with merch, and he was waiting for the go-ahead with something. I'm not quite sure. And he was out there, and I'm not joking when I say this, he was out there for like 2-3 hours, like waiting for the go-ahead for something, waiting for like, I think to be allowed into the venue, I'm not sure. But, Dare saw them over there, and Dare walked over and was like, hey, do you want some water? We have some extra waters. Do you want some ice? Are you doing okay? And he was super nice. He was like, no, I'm good, but thank you so much. And then he kind of turned, like, as Dare was coming back, he kind of turned away to, like, do something with the truck, but then he got, like, a little look on his face. And then he turned around and started walking toward us. And he asked us, hey, do you guys want mummy dust? And now you're probably wondering, what is mummy dust, or what some Ghost fans refer to as mummy bucks? And mummy dust / mummy bucks are these fake little bills that get blown out of a cannon during the song Mummy Dust. And during the tour, the roadies and the tour staff were just randomly handing these out to people that thought were cool or nice, or like just, people that they were having good interactions with. And it was super neat. Like, it was really cool just to see, like, I guess Ghost management be kind of all about having those little fan connections, right? And so he asked us, hey, do you guys want some, like, mummy bucks? And we were like, absolutely. And again, he was so nice. He gave everyone in that line a mummy buck, a mummy dust. And there were about 35 of us, and he gave all of us mummy dust. He was so sweet. And I have mine right here. It's a little bit crumpled up because it was so warm, but I have mine. And when he gave it to me, it was so silly. My emotions were so high. But when he gave it to me, I started crying. And he's like, why are you crying? And I told him, like, this is my first ritual, and this is my first mummy dust that I ever had. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You're going to have a great time at the show. Again, he was so, so nice. And, like, I just cannot, I cannot overstate how kind everyone was. So, anyway, the day is dragging on, and, Dare, is able to find a VIP, like, ticket, like, text line where we can ask questions. And, like, Dare texts him and says, hey, when are we going to get our VIP bracelets? And at one point, we thought it was going to be 10 o'clock, and then it got pushed back to 11, and it was getting really, really hot. And so, finally, security to the Enterprise Center is opening doors because the, box office opened. And Will, who was Mac's partner, goes up to security and says, hey, we're really, really warm out here. Is there any way that we can come inside and wait? And security is like, you know what? As long as you don't, like, mess with the box office and you stay out of people's way, come on inside. It's way too hot. And so, shout out to that security person, again, who was so kind and so nice. We finally got to go inside the venue. And by this point, it was like 94 degrees out. And so, praise be to air conditioning. So we're inside the box office, like, kind of front area of the Enterprise, Enterprise Center. And we, Dare and I are saying, hey, we're gonna zipper the line so that way we're out of people's way, we're not in the walkways, we're not in front of the box office booths. And we were able to organize a line and get it lined up in a way where we weren't bothering one, we weren't in anyone's way. And then I think it was the venue manager. She came out of nowhere and she had like these crates of water bottles. And she was like, hey, I was about to come out and give you guys water bottles. Do you guys want some water bottles? It's so hot out. And we were like, absolutely. And so the venue let us inside. They gave us water bottles. They really took care of us. And we were so, so grateful. We were eternally grateful. We also found out the reason why we were getting our tickets kind of late, like our VIP bands kind of late, was because production was running behind. So I get it. Life happens. I'm just very grateful that the venue had our backs and made sure that we weren't overheating and that we were able to come inside and stay cool. So finally, we're waiting, and the person who was one of the VIP people, her name was Lily, and she was such a doll. She comes down with a pink kind of fold up like cloth wagon that has the wristbands inside. And Lily goes, guys, I'm here. I got the wristbands. Thank you so much for waiting. I'm so sorry we were behind. And Lily again was delightful. And so I'm the first in line at this point. Like, we're the first in line, and our wristbands are finally going to be coming to us. And I was a little bit nervous because at one point, I'm not going to say names or what this person looked like, but at one point we did have someone in St. Louis that tried to be a line interloper. Like, this person was real pushy and tried to get to the beginning of the line. And luckily, everyone had our backs, and we're like, no, like, we're doing a numbered system. You got to get in the back of the line for VIP, so sorry. And this person was also trying to tell people to go to different places that we were not supposed to go. But again, everyone had each other's back. But it made me really, really nervous, and I happened to say to Dare, Dare, I'm really scared that someone's going to cut us in line. Like, I know it's silly, but I really want this first wristband. I want the number one wristband for first ritual. I just hope no one cuts us. And again, let me tell you, the vibes in that line were immaculate because, like, Goopert overheard me, and I think Mac overheard, and they were all like, no, we're not letting anyone cut you. You've been here since 4 a.m. You've helped organize this. You've been getting people waters. We got your back. No one's going to cut you in line. And so finally, Lily with the pink swagger wagon is looking through her boxes of VIP bands, and she's like, oh my gosh, you get to be number one ascended. And I was like, yeah, I'm really excited. It's my first ritual. And she goes, oh my gosh, you're getting the number one band for your first ritual. That's so cool. And she's looking, and then she pauses as she's looking in the boxes. And she goes, I don't have the right box. You know, it happens. And luckily the box was in the venue, and she met with someone on another floor to get the proper box. And so she finally got the right box after giving me a mini heart attack. She finally got the right box, and it sounds like a bad Reddit story. Like, and I know this sounds like corny, but like if you talk to people who were there, they were there. Like, it's a little corny, but like when I finally got my VIP wristband, I was so excited, and I started crying. And I know it's corny, but I started crying because like I was so happy to have this wristband and to know, oh my God, I'm here, I'm going to a ghost show. And I held up my wristband and I went, I got it, I'm number one, I did it. And like people behind me started cheering and clapping. Like it was amazing. Like everyone again was so kind and so neat and just so wonderful. And so finally it's 1:30. It's not 1:30, I'm sorry, it's 12:30, and we're finally able to go back to our hotel to get ready. And so Dare and I beat bop our way back to the hotel, who luckily was only like a 7-minute walk, 8-minute walk, something like that. And we're in our hotel room, we get a quick cold shower, and I order pizza. I decided that I'm gonna order pizza, and we get pizza, and we have one more thing of water with liquid IV in it, and I have one more energy drink. We get in our costumes, so we both cosplayed as Cardinal Copia. Dare was the red cardinal cassock, and I was the black Cardinal Copia cassock. And we looked amazing. Again, I'm not an editor or big YouTuber. I don't know how to put photos in, but if you want to see the photos, they're on my Bluesky, See King Writes at bluesky.social. So you can definitely find me on there. Again, it's C King Writes at Bluesky Social. So, and I also have the link down below as well, for the record. So we make our way back over to the venue, and we have all of our candy with us, and we're passing out candy to ghost fans we see, and people are so nice. Like they're telling us that our costumes look great, and like we're all just like, you know, again, beat bopping around, having a good time. Like again, even walking to the venue, people who did not know who ghosts were, they were like complimenting us, and it just felt really good. Like it really was a truly magical first ritual experience. And so we beat bop our way over to the outside of the venue, and we're all together hanging out in line. And then Dee Dee, who runs the social media account Ghost Eternal, who is also an amazing ghost archivist, she joins us, and she's a friend of Dare's, and I finally get to like talk to her and like meet her, and that was really, really cool. And it was just a really great community experience, like just talking to the fans and like while we were waiting. And at this point it's 3:00 because we've heard that Vanessa sometimes comes out early and does the Ghoulbangers Ball videos. Now, if you don't know what Ghoulbanger Ball is, the Ghoulbanger Ball videos are basically when it's basically Vanessa, who is the host of the show. She shows like the behind the scenes stuff of the Skeletor, and they also interact with the fans. They do fan interviews, they play games, that sort of thing. And so we've heard that Vanessa comes out around 3:00, and so we beat bop over there, and we're waiting for Vanessa, and I'm so excited with Dee Dee and Dare and everyone. We run into Sammy and our group again, and the vibes are good. And then Vanessa comes out, and I am in awe. Like, as someone who's watched every single Ghoulbangers video up to that point, I am in awe. Like, I've seen this person on like on YouTube, like on my screen. Like, this is amazing. And also, she was part of the Headbangers Ball that was on MTV. Like, she was part of that show. and she's like a legend, like when it comes to like music journalism. So I'm in awe, and I start shaking. I start shaking like a leaf, like, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to go over there and say hi to her and take a photo with her, but I don't want to interrupt her. And I said this to Dee Dee and Dare. I'm like, I want to. And Dee Dee's like, no, go take a photo with her. Like, she, you know, she's used to fans taking photos with her. It's okay. And I'm like, oh, but they're busy. I don't want to interrupt. Because they were out. So Vanessa was outside with Matthew, who was also part of the Ghoulbangers production, and a third fellow. I want to say his name is Andy, but I'm not sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong about that. But apparently it was the whole Ghoulbangers production was out there, the whole production team. And Matthews was kind of like director / camera person / producer, right? And goodness, I was awful nervous, and I didn't want to interrupt them. I didn't want to be rude. And I say to Dee Dee, I can't. They're busy. I can see they're busy. And Dee Dee just takes my hands and says, come on, sweetie, let's go get a photo. And so Dee Dee leads me over there, and I'm really nervous. Like, I'm about ready to cry again. A lot of crying happened on this day, okay? And then Dare clocks that they're talking amongst themselves. But then they see me and Dare in our matching cardinal copias, and they point at both of us. And so Dare's like, something is afoot. I bet you follow. And so then Dare starts catching up with us, right? And so finally, we're in front of Vanessa and Matthew, and who I believe is Andy. Again, I'm not sure if that's his name, but if I'm wrong, please correct me. But they're like, but we're in front of them, and Dee Dee says to Vanessa, "Hey, Vanessa. Basically, it's good to see you again. I have someone who wants to like take a photo with you. Is that okay?" And then Vanessa's like, oh, that'd be absolutely lovely. And Vanessa, by the way, is a shining, bright, sparkly light. Like, she is as nice as she portrays herself to be online. She's amazing. But right as Vanessa says that, Matthew goes, actually, do you want to be in a Ghoulbanger video? Do you want to play a game? And I start shaking and crying, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I would love that. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, I promise I'll be chill. I promise I'll calm down. But oh my gosh, yes, absolutely, I would love to do it. And Matthew's like, great, awesome. Not really registering the emotional state I'm in. Again, later I found out production was running behind. So emotional triaging could not happen. So Matthew and Vanessa are like, great, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a game called Papa Power, which is similar to the Jesus Power thing we've been doing. Do you know about the Jesus Power thing? And I was like, yeah, I watched like the video in Scotland where that began, where like you had two Jesuses guess who the first time ritual goer was. And they're like, great, but we're gonna do that with papas. So we have you as the black cardinal, and your friend here is the red cardinal, and you're gonna ask 3 people questions about the Skeletor, and judging on their answers, you're gonna guess who the first time ritual goer is. Now here's the deal. I'm not gonna recount how it went, because it will be on the St. Louis Ghoulbanger video, and I encourage you to go watch them. I think the Ghoulbanger videos are so fun, and I don't want to give away who won the Ghoulbanger game. I don't want to reveal what happened. I don't want to reveal what the prize was, but when the Ghoulbanger for Kansas City comes out, I'm going to pin it in a comment down below, and I'll put it in the description. But what I will say about about how the Ghoulbanger stuff is done is that it's very fast-paced. You have to think on your feet as much as Vanessa does. But it's so much fun, and if you can get out there early to be part of Ghoulbangers, it's something I highly suggest. And it was amazing and lovely, and I had such a great time doing it, and it was wonderful. Like, I know I keep saying the words that it was wonderful and everyone was so nice, but that's the truth. Like, it was so great. So anyway, after our Ghoulbangers thing was done, again, I'm freaking out and shaking. And then, like, I notice that Dare has 2 posters. And there's one poster where, which, by the way, you might have actually seen this poster, because it made it into the bonus pack of the St. Louis show. One of the posters read, Mountain, I'm a baby drummer. Can I trade you a drumstick for art? And then Dare made this amazing portrait of Mountain. And then there was a second poster, and I didn't know what the poster was at the time. I didn't know. And Dare wasn't showing it to me because they told me it was a spoiler. And I've been staying away from concert spoilers. And so I didn't know what the other poster was. But, like, Vanessa asked to see the two posters, and Dare showed her the Mountain one, and then told me to turn around, and I was like, oh, it's a spoiler poster, and Dare was like, yeah, it's a spoiler poster, and so I didn't see what the second poster was. That second poster is also going to be a reoccurring character, but I wanted to mention it here to plant the seed. So, Dare had a Mountain poster and a mystery poster, and so, finally, we get back in line, and everyone's like, oh my god, you were in Ghoulbangers. I was like, yeah, I was. I blacked out. I don't know what I said. Like, crazy for my first time ritual experience. And it was so funny, too, because Vanessa and Matthew didn't know that I was the person who was also a first time ritual goer. And I was the one asking the questions. Like, it was so funny. So, finally, the first two VIP tiers, which were the Apostle and the Anointed, get into the venue. And then finally, Ascended is led into the venue at 5 o'clock. And we're beat-bopping around, we're looking at the merch, we're kind of walking around the venue, we're having a good old time, and at this point, our phones are, bam, in the yonder bags. And we don't have access to them, which honestly was great. It was so nice to be disconnected, and just really focusing on the fans and the camaraderie. At this point, we find who we're supposed to line up for Ascended, and we sit down because we're going to be at Barrier, and we know we're going to be standing for a while, because once you're in the pit and you're in Barrier, you can't leave. So we sit down, like, in the line spot for Ascended, and we're waiting around, we're beat-bopping with our friends, having a good old time, and finally it's time to line us up. And again, it sounds like a bad Reddit story, but what they did is they had us all stand up, and then they had us line up in a perpendicular line next to the other, like, meet-up line spot, so that way we could be in our proper places with our proper numbers. And it was Jada who was doing the line stuff for us. Shout out to Jada, who's also fantastic and will be a reoccurring character. But my number one wristband was called out. And when Darren and I walked up to that front of the line, it's so stupid, but people clapped. Like, it sounds like a bad Reddit story, but, like, literally when 1 and 2 were called, Darren and I are walking side by side, looking so cool in our cornucopia outfits. People were clapping and cheering, and it was such a cool experience. And, again, wild for a first-time ritual. So, finally, it's time to go into the pit. And we enter the main arena. And we're going down the steps, and I'm an emotional mess, I know, but I'm holding Dare's hand, and we see on the right-hand side, there's a barrier spot, and we bolt to our barrier spot, and in the process, we lost Mac and Will, but we had our barrier spot, and it ended up working out, because later on, some friends of Dare, I believe their names were Melanie and Sydney, they were coming down, and I kind of noticed that, like, Melanie looked real crestfallen, and so I waved Melanie over, and I'm like, here, come on, we can squeeze you into Barrier, and Dare was like, yeah, come on, over here, and so Melanie and Sydney were like, oh my god, are you sure? And we're like, yeah, come on, and they were able to join us at Barrier. And we found out later that Melanie also had the Ascended VIP package, but she was told to wait in the wrong line, and so she ended up higher number-wise. And she really wanted Barrier because the next day was her birthday. Her husband had actually bought her these tickets as a birthday present. And so we were able to get her a Barrier spot with us, which was so freaking awesome. And I was so, so happy. And so finally, we're there at the barrier. We're waiting. We're beat bopping around, having a good old time with people. And the vibes are good. The vibes are immaculate. I end up being next to this lovely woman. I believe her name was Brenda. She was amazing. Loved her. She was so nice. And I remember looking at her and going, hey, listen, if I bump into you or I cry or I'm making a lot of noise, I'm so sorry. It's my very first ritual. If I'm too much, just tell me. And she looked at me and she said, honey, it's okay. It's your first ritual. I understand. You go ahead and be extra. Brenda, I love you. Amazing person. And so finally, we're beat bopping at the end of barrier, having a good time. And then the piano music starts playing. No, is it piano music or the choral music? Okay, so there are two songs that play before ghost shows. And it's the choral and the piano music. And I believe, if I can remember correctly, I think the piano music started playing first. Yeah, so the first thing that started playing was this piano music that goes on way too long, and then the choral music that happens afterwards, and it goes on way too long, and it's supposed to get you amped up and anxious and excited for the show, and it works. So we're waiting, and Darren and I are so excited, and then finally, music fades, lights go down. And the beginning of Peacefield starts. I scream. I start crying. I'm losing it. Dara's next to me, also slightly losing it. And I'm in awe. And then finally, Tobias starts singing. And again, I'm losing it, right? And the curtain, because there's a big curtain that surrounds the stage, hasn't even dropped yet. So finally, during the end of the first chorus, your love bright as the starlight, oh child, still we can see a black moon over the peace field. Oh child, stay close to me. That part, at the stay close to me part, when that is done, boom! There is a flight explosion. Curtain drops. You can see the giant crucifix, because there's a giant crucifix on the ceiling, and everyone is losing their minds. And I'm crying, and it's amazing. And it's that energy for the entire show. And it was insane. It was insane in the main brain. Totally. Finally, we get through that song, I'm crying, and it was just amazing. So, where we are at the barrier is that there's a platform above us, and Soto and Rain and Phantom kept beat bopping over there and kind of interacting with us on our side, and it was so fun. It was so fun, and it was so great. And at one point, I have to get this out. Hold on. At one point, because I'm kind of air guitaring with Soto and we're rocking out together. And at one point, Soto points to me, does this, points to me, holds up this puppy, and threw it right at me. And it falls behind me. Now, let me tell you something about the pit we were in. Everyone was so ridiculously nice. And at some ghost shows, you're going to get shows where people are ravenous and want to take all the things. And even if a pick is meant for you, if it falls on the floor, they'll just take it and you'll never see that puppy again. However, our pit was amazingly nice. People were making sure that those who got picks thrown at them got the picks that were meant for them. No one was taking stuff or stealing stuff. It was amazing. And so it fell behind me. And again, our pit section was great. And a nice young man who'd been kind of interacting with the entire night, he picked up the pick from the ground, and I could tell he wanted it. But then he looked at me and said, this is meant for you. And I remember taking it from him and then giving him a big hug. And it was just so amazing to have fans like that are genuinely looking out for each other. And now this pick, I know it's a played pick because if you look, it's scored with a razor blade. And Soto, who's the guitarist, one of the guitarists, scores his picks like this. So I got a Soto pick, and that was so cool. And again, we were just interacting with the musicians and having a good old time. And now at one point, let me tell you something. There was one point, a couple points actually, where I lost my mind. Because during mummy dust, when the mummy dust is mummy dusting, it didn't mummy dust yet. Let me back up. So during mummy dust, Papa does a thing called the mummy thrust, where he mummy thrusts. And he came over to our platform, and Dare and I are screaming our heads off. Like, we're probably some of the loudest in that, like, section. And he looks at Dare and I. Dead looks at Dare and I and does this cupping motion and then thrusts. Looking at us. Deceased. Dead. Done. Over with. Nothing more. Like, she was forevermore. Like, it was amazing. Like, oh my God. And so that was our, like, first Papa reaction. And then at one point, we were blowing kisses to, like, during, like, Kiss the Go-Goat, we were blowing kisses to, like, Soto and Rain and Phantom, and they blew kisses back at us. And there was another point, too, where Soto looked at me dead looked at me and went, and I was like, it was crazy. But one of my favorite moments is when Soto for mummy dust, and I want to be very careful. I'm going to do the motion. I'm not going to just say what the motion is, but I'm going to do the motion. But during mummy dust, before, like, the mummy cannons, like, blow the mummy box out, there's a point where Soto does this motion before the mummy dust comes out, and he looked right at me. Like, right at me, which was crazy. And, like, I thought I was nuts, because I'm like, I'm not the main character, there's no way. But I looked over at Dare, and Dare's like, you. And I'm like, ah. And so, again, an amazing show. They played Call Me Little Sunshine. I sobbed during it. So this is actually a really cool moment. I was sobbing during it. And I remember just Dare putting an arm around me, and, like, there was just this moment of, like, community, and it was just amazing. And I don't know, I felt that sense of community during the entire time. So, yeah, so Call Me Little Sunshine happens, they play a few more songs, and then the dueling guitars begin. And you know when the dueling guitars begin, it is time for Cerise, and I was gunning to get Cerise, let me tell you. I wanted that as my first ritual thing. I knew it probably wasn't going to happen, but I wanted it. And this is where Dare was a little sneak, because Dare suddenly switched our hats around. So I had the red Cardinal Copiat. They took the black one, and I didn't know why at the time. Like, why are you doing that? And they're like, don't worry about it. And I realized it was to make me more visible. And then Dare, and I didn't realize this until, like, halfway through the song, Dare holds up the second poster. And someone else is holding up another smaller poster. And people are doing weird stuff behind me. And let me show you what I saw, friends. Let me show you what I saw, because I have it over here. Dare had made this sign. It reads, "First ritual, please, Cerise." And she had recruited one of the other concert goers to point this at me, and our back row, they were all pointing at me. And I was like, there's no way. Oh my gosh. And I was so just blown away. And I was just so touched and moved. And you're probably wondering, oh my gosh, Callista, did you get Cerise? I didn't. I did not get Cerise. At all. Didn't get Cerise. Didn't happen. But here's the thing, though. Here's the super cool thing. I think Dare trying to do that for me. That means more to me than me getting Cerise. The fact that other people were trying to make that happen for me, that means more to me than me getting Cerise. Having people that are willing to do that for you, that means more to me. And I'm so grateful. Gosh darn it, I'm so grateful. And I'm so lucky I have a friend like Darren. And to everyone else who's a part of it, if you're watching this video, thank you. You're amazing. And I am eternally just, I'm grateful. And I appreciate it. And the rest of the night was just so magical and so wonderful. And I'll never forget, hugging my best friend as The Future is a Foreign Land was sung. And I'll never forget everyone just rocking out during Square Hammer. And the last thing that happened to the night that was so magical was it was the final encore where Papa was actually leaving the stage for good, not the fake out, but the actual encore. And he was blowing kisses to everyone and, waving to everyone. And Darren and I, again, we're screaming our heads off. And at one point, he was on that platform and he looked down at us. He was looking right at us. And it was us two next to each other as cornucopias. And he blew a kiss to Dare, and then blew a kiss to me. And we blew kisses back. And having that attention from Papa was just amazing. Like, it was so amazing. And, that was really cool, because to me, it was I'm going to do this and make this conscious decision in the moment to give you this attention. And I think that was cool. That was so cool. And afterwards, as we were leaving the venue and leaving the pit, I looked down on the floor amongst the mummy box and the confetti, and I looked down and saw something very special. I saw a little bit of purple under some confetti. And lying on the floor of the pit was a second pick. And I literally went, Dare, oh my God, there's no way. And I picked it up. And it was a second pick. Y'all, I found the second pick just on the floor. That's crazy. That never happens at shows. That is so rare. From what I've heard from people, that doesn't happen. And I found a second pick. I even have it in a separate bag, so I knew which pick I found, which pick was just thrown to me. But on the way out, we were talking with all these fans and meeting up with people, and it was amazing. And I had such a great, wonderful time, and it was an amazing first ritual. And personally, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it was perfect as it was. Now, with that being said, that is the end of my first ritual story. However, we're going to talk about what happened in Omaha. Because remember how I told you that sometimes in pits, there's some people who will just take things? I had a little bit of a harrowing experience that was of someone taking something from me of that variety. So that will be a separate video. It's going to come in the next week or two. But until then, I just want to say thank you to everyone in St. Louis who made this so magical and wonderful. And I want you to know that each and every one of you, and I truly mean this, you have a special place in my heart, because that was also amazing. And if you ever want to, reach out to me on Bluesky. I would love, if I'm ever in St. Louis, to meet up with y'all again. And I just thank you. And Dare, if you're watching this, I love you so much. And thank you for making this first ritual amazing. You were equally a part of that magic for me, as much so as Papa and the ghouls. So, until next time, remember this. Even when things are difficult and life seems hard, there is a ghost community out there that adores you and accepts you and loves you just as you are. And if you have ghost, maybe truly, surely, you have everything. Until next time, y'all. Callista, signing out.